It's the same story every 4 years. England arrive at a major tournament. The squad looks incredible. The fans start dreaming. The media starts talking. And then the pressure begins. For decades, England have carried one of the heaviest burdens in world football. One World Cup. That's it. Nearly 60 years have passed since Bobby Moore lifted the trophy at Wembley. Since then, generations of world-class players have tried and failed. David Beckham, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Wayne Rooney, Rio Ferdinand, John Terry, Harry Kane. All of them dreamed of ending the drought. None of them managed it. And yet here we are again. Another World Cup. Another talented England squad. Another chance to finally make history. The difference this time? For the first time in years, England might actually have everything they need. Not just talent, not just hype, not just potential, but a genuine formula for winning football's biggest prize. And that's exactly why England might win the 2026 World Cup. Let's start with the obvious. Jude Bellingham. Because right now, England possess something every World Cup winner usually has. A superstar capable of carrying games. At just 23 years old, Bellingham has already become one of the faces of world football. He's technically gifted, physically dominant, mentally fearless, and unlike many young stars, he seems to thrive under pressure. Big game? No problem. Hostile crowd? No problem. World Cup knockout match? He'll probably enjoy it. That's what separates great players from truly elite players. They don't hide when the pressure arrives. They demand the ball. And Bellingham does exactly that. In recent England camps, teammates and coaches have repeatedly highlighted his leadership influence despite his age. He has become one of the central figures in Thomas Tuchel's project. But here's what makes England dangerous. They're not dependent on Bellingham. Most international teams have one superstar. England have several. Harry Kane remains one of the most complete strikers in football. Bukayo Saka continues to develop into a world-class winger. Declan Rice controls matches in midfield. John Stones provides experience in defence. Morgan Rogers has emerged as one of the breakout stars of English football. Marcus Rashford offers pace and directness. Anthony Gordon brings relentless energy. Reece James gives England creativity from deep positions. And suddenly you begin to understand why so many analysts view England as genuine contenders. Because this squad is loaded. But talent alone doesn't win tournaments. We've learned that lesson many times before. Which brings us to perhaps the biggest difference compared to previous England teams. Thomas Tuchel. For years, England supporters begged for a manager capable of taking the final step. Gareth Southgate achieved something remarkable. He transformed England from a nation that expected failure into a nation that expected success. A World Cup semi-final, a European Championship final, another European Championship final. The results were impressive, but the trophy never arrived. Now England have turned to a different kind of manager, a proven winner, a Champions League winner, a manager with a reputation for tactical detail, a manager obsessed with preparation, a manager who has spent his entire career competing against elite opponents. Thomas Tuchel. And his arrival may prove transformational. One of the biggest criticisms of previous England teams was tactical predictability. England often looked excellent against weaker opponents, but against elite nations, they sometimes appeared uncertain. Tuchel's greatest strength is adaptability. He changes systems. He changes structures. He changes plans depending on the opponent. That's incredibly valuable in tournament football, because every knockout match is different. Sometimes you need possession. Sometimes you need defensive discipline. Sometimes you need chaos. Tuchel understands that. And many around football believe his tactical expertise could finally unlock England's full potential. Of course, even Tuchel has tried to lower expectations. In the build-up to the tournament, he repeatedly insisted England should not be considered the favourites, because they haven't won a major tournament for so long. But that's exactly what makes England interesting. They're not carrying the same pressure as previous generations. Spain are European champions. Argentina are defending world champions. France have reached 2 of the last 3 World Cup finals. England sits slightly behind that group. Close enough to believe, far enough to avoid becoming the main target. That's a useful position to occupy. Now let's talk about Harry Kane, because Kane's story might become one of the defining narratives of this tournament. For years, Kane was labelled the greatest player never to win a major trophy. The goals were always there. The performances were always there. The trophies weren't. Then everything changed. Success finally arrived at club level. And now Kane enters the World Cup carrying less pressure than ever before. That's dangerous. Very dangerous. Because when Kane is relaxed, he becomes even more effective. People often focus on his goals. And rightly so. He's England's all-time leading scorer. But Kane's game has evolved. He's now part striker, part playmaker, part leader. His passing range has become exceptional. His movement remains elite. And his experience could prove invaluable in knockout football. Every World Cup winning team needs a reliable goalscorer. England have one. Then there is Declan Rice, perhaps the most underrated player in the entire squad. Rice doesn't generate headlines like Bellingham. He doesn't score goals like Kane. But every successful team needs balance. Rice provides that balance. He protects the defense, wins duels, breaks up attacks, and allows creative players to take risks. Without Rice, England become easier to play against. With Rice, they become incredibly difficult to break down. And speaking of defense, this might be England's most important area. Because if England are going to win the World Cup, they'll need defensive stability. Historically, England's best tournament runs have been built on strong defensive foundations. The encouraging news is that England qualified without conceding a single goal. That's an extraordinary statistic regardless of opposition. John Stones remains the leader of the back line. Ezri Konsa has developed significantly. Mark Guehi has impressed when given opportunities. Reece James is finally fit. Jordan Pickford continues to perform exceptionally well for England in major tournaments. This defense may not have the star power of France or the reputation of Spain, but it has something equally important: organization. And organization wins tournaments. Now let's discuss one of the biggest reasons England might actually break the curse. Squad depth. Look at the bench. Morgan Rogers, Anthony Gordon, Ivan Toney, Noni Madueke, Kobbie Mainoo, Marcus Rashford. These aren't squad fillers. These are players capable of changing matches. Imagine you're playing England. You've survived 70 minutes. You're exhausted. Then Tuchel introduces fresh attacking talent worth hundreds of millions of pounds. That's a nightmare. The expanded World Cup format makes squad depth even more important. More matches, more travel, more fatigue. The deeper your squad, the greater your chances. England's depth compares favourably with almost every nation in the tournament. Another fascinating storyline surrounds team chemistry. Historically, England's squads sometimes suffered from club rivalries. Manchester United players, Liverpool players, Chelsea players, different groups, different cliques, different agendas. That problem appears far less significant today. Players spend enormous amounts of time together. Many have come through youth international teams together, and recent reports from England's camp have repeatedly highlighted strong unity and positive morale. That matters. More than people realize, World Cups aren't won by collections of talent. They're won by teams. Argentina proved that in 2022. Now let's address the obvious concern, because every England fan watching this video is thinking the same thing. What about the pressure? And honestly, it's a fair question. England have been here before. The hype, the excitement, the predictions, the belief, only for heartbreak to follow. Penalty shootouts, semi-final defeats, final defeats, near misses. The psychological scars remain. Until England actually win a major tournament, doubts will continue to exist. And that's perfectly understandable. Football history isn't easy to erase. But perhaps this generation is different. Many of these players have already experienced deep tournament runs. They've played in finals, semi-finals, quarter-finals. The fear factor has disappeared. They're no longer learning how to compete. They already know. And that's a major advantage. Now let's examine England's World Cup pathway. The draw has been relatively kind. England find themselves in Group L alongside Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. None of those teams should be underestimated. Croatia especially possess enormous tournament experience. But England will expect to win the group. And winning the group could significantly improve their knockout route. Because once you reach the knockout stages, momentum becomes everything. A favourable round of 32 opponent. A strong round of 16 performance. Suddenly confidence starts building. And confidence is dangerous. Just ask Argentina in 2022, or Spain in 2010. Many World Cup winners grow stronger as tournaments progress. England have the squad to do exactly that. Of course, there are still concerns. Can the defense handle elite attacks? Can key players remain healthy? Can Tuchel make the right adjustments in pressure situations? Can England finally overcome their historical baggage? Those questions won't be answered until the tournament begins. But every contender has questions. France have questions. Spain have questions. Argentina have questions. Brazil have questions. Nobody is perfect. The difference is that England finally seem equipped to solve their problems. They have elite players. They have depth. They have experience. They have a world-class manager. They have tactical flexibility. And perhaps most importantly, they have belief. Not the blind optimism we've seen in previous years. Real belief. The kind that comes from consistently reaching the latter stages of major tournaments. England have reached a World Cup semi-final, 2 European Championship finals, and they continue to place themselves among football's elite nations. Eventually, repeated opportunities create breakthroughs. That's how sports work. The hardest step is reaching the door. England have already done that, multiple times. Now they need to walk through it. Will they? Nobody knows. That's what makes the World Cup special. But if England finally lift the trophy in 2026, it won't be a miracle. It won't be luck. It won't come out of nowhere. It will be the result of years of development, years of near misses, years of lessons, years of building toward this moment. The talent is there. The manager is there. The experience is there. The opportunity is there. And for perhaps the first time in a very long time, England genuinely look ready. Which is exactly why England might win the 2026 World Cup. And if they do, 60 years of hurt will finally come to an end.